everything, changed your entertainment, changed so many things that it's pretty challenging proposal. Nevertheless, my mother was very intelligently diplomatic to the point that she could understand if she will tell me she's not at all interested, then I would be very disheartened because my heart was, well, my love for her was very intense. So she was always very comforting, and I was increasingly insisting, especially in relationship to vegetarianism. Because I felt if my parents, if my mother eats meat, the risk is that next lifetime she'll become an animal and have to pay for that with her own body. And that thought really was unthinkable for me. It was like intolerable. So in my presentation to her, I also became a little bit pestering, like insisting a lot. And she agreed, but she had to please a whole lot of more other people in the family as a mother. And so she couldn't just tell everybody, well, my son prohibited me to cook anything which is non-vegetarian and things like that. So it took me a long time, something like 14 years, to convince her that this was really not good for her and for nobody. So in this sense, I had a very lively relationship with her on the topic of what's sacred. And what's sacred to us is love. And love doesn't really fit together with violence and cruelty and mistreatment and exploitation, neither of man nor of animals. So therefore it's the philosophy of love which Krishna gives. Krishna is love personified, and he always emphasizes, yes, go your way, go surely, slowly and surely, but go the way of love. And then he gives us a few things, a few clear hints in this regard. What does it mean, the path of love? So now that person I had cultivated over those years, she actually was very attracted to God. Very, very unbelievable personality. In her life, she wrote 50 diaries of all the things she was feeling and thinking about her relationships with God and everything. So she was very much engaged in all this. But to my greatest fortune, in the very end of her life, she developed the desire to be with Krishna in the spiritual world. Like one person told me today, I don't want to be born again in this world. Nice thought. That is really true. We don't want to be born here, except if the Lord has a special plan with us and we have a special task to fulfill. I mean, last but not least, we always pray, please, my Lord, engage me in your devotional service, make me an instrument of your love. So if he really has a desire to bring you back here for some special mission, well, then we couldn't deny it, no? But, as Srila Prabhupada said, we shouldn't think that we are that advanced. We should rather think, I want to get the hell out of this material world. It's a very difficult, dangerous place, and here you get hit in bed by somebody you can't even imagine, you know. All kinds of things can happen in this world, you know, which you never ever expect, no? So this is a very dangerous world. So we are trying to do our best to prepare for getting out of this material world, and for that sake, for that holy sake of getting out of this material world, we are always trying to promote the divine attachment. Now, divine attachment, that is, means attachment to Krishna and attachment to Krishna's devotees. So in one sense, I feel today that my attachment to my mother is so fortunate because she decided she wanted to be a devotee. I mean, she always acted like a devotee practically, but one thing is acting like it and another thing is proclaiming it or searching for it. And I had the fortune that a few days ago when I spoke to her, she told me, I want to make music in Goloka Vrindavan for Krishna. I don't want to be back here in this world. And there were a few circumstances leading up to this desire of hers, but she was pretty clear that's what she wanted. No, she's a good musician, so maybe she's a candidate for there, no? In the end, Radharani knows who she wants to occupy in what particular degree. But she had some musical training anyway. It was pretty good. Yeah. So my separation from her is a separation from her body, because her soul with Krishna is more close to Krishna than myself, you know. And that is very nice to have somebody there with Krishna who can see everything and bless everyone. But in particular, like when I was speaking with my family today, I said, no, now, can you see the point Prabhupada made? Her body, that's not her. It reminds us of her, everything, but the body is not her now. The body is now a corpse, and we will cremate it within 2 days. So then, would you cremate your beloved? Never. So he cannot be. If you cremate the corpse, then it cannot be your beloved anymore. So you have to understand at that moment would you bury your beloved? Never ever. It's an impossibility. But if there's the burying or the burning, if that's an unavoidable thing to do in life, that means that the body is not the self. That's all it is to it. Now, understand it. So, therefore, mourning for a loved one is ignorance. Mourning for the company of a soul on the way to higher existence, that's also not the appropriate approach. We can pray to them. We can pray to them. Oh yes, you may bless me, that I may go the right path. But particularly the mourning is like somebody disappeared. But if somebody is, a soul will never disappear. Soul will always be there, here, there, somewhere. And specifically when a person at the moment of death thinks of Krishna, then he's sure to go to Krishna. My good mother had the fortune of being initiated a few days before leaving this world and wanting this. So her guru was actually Srila BA Maharaj. But because he wasn't with us at this moment anymore, he's also with Krishna, I, on behalf of my Guru Varga, conferred to my own mother the holy name and the holy, her name and everything. But honestly speaking, she's so far above this, I was just a carrier of something, because her love was directly for very high love, a love for God. And so being attached to somebody who is on the path back home, back to God, that's a good attachment. That attachment will pull you higher. If you're attached to somebody for your sense gratification or for a name and fame, then this attachment will pull you down. So the attachment for devotee is actually very good. And to be attached, like in my case, I could rather rejoice. Of course, rejoice the day your mother died. How can you rejoice? Well, because it's such a rare thing that somebody can leave this world with such a good timing and turning. And even physically speaking, she walked yesterday. She walked without a stick. And now the Lord called her. She had no ailment, really prolonged at least, and lived her whole life in the forest, happily alone. But everybody came there. So a loved one, the death of a loved one, is something which makes us more responsible for what we're doing. Like when I think of her, I want to be the exemplary son. Makes her happy all the time with everything. And of course, you don't have this desire to be exemplary very often in life, no? I mean, it tends to leave you at certain points. So certain points we become negligent with the ideas of being the excellent son or the whatever, no? So, but in love, this is that. In love and excellence, they're very closely associated with each other. So therefore, the separation from a loved one is actually the moment to think about the necessity of achieving some perfection in our human form of life, to doing something excellently, to have a real offering of love. And that offering of love, that is the dedication, in this case, of a mother. Mother's love and dedication is really, really excellent. It excels so much. Therefore, we can give in our Vedas, in our studies, we always give the example of mother's love to be almost the higher than mother's love is pure love for God. But otherwise, mother love and what they do for their family, how they can tolerate the children and the husband and all that, this is such a unique thing that we can really only admire and give our fullest and greatest regard and thanks to all the mothers who do that. And in my case, I have seen my mother going through very difficult moments in her life, but with her love, she pulled everything ahead and straight, and she could always gain. She could gain the path of sanity and welfare and well-being of everybody. So this is something I can really. Yes, I'm proud of her. So in this sense, a successful person, spiritually and materially successful. But even in the moments of difficulties, she was always there and making sure that everybody could survive the difficulties. Now, our difficulties were not of the real severe kind, but you know, in this world, difficulties never lack. They come in one way or in another way. They always come to every family, practically speaking. So we also needed our mother's power of harmonizing and bringing light and love and forgiving and everything we needed. We all had this. And so when it came to devotional service, my mother was always eager to do service. She gave an example that even though, like one time in the winter time, she was saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "We are going out and preaching." She said, "Preaching in the snow, what are you doing?" I said, "Yes, because we do that every day. It's so nice meeting people." He said, "Okay, I will make hats for you." So for the whole Sankirtan party, some 8 people, she made some special warm hats. So that was when we were in Denmark, no? So she was always very concerned, and like mothers are just too much, you know. They think about things even you don't think about it. That's why they always tell you, put on your shoes, wear socks, it's cold outside. The mothers have this special thing, endearing, a very, very endearing feature, because the opposite to the mother is the I don't care, do what you like, I don't mind. So this is very male tendency, you know. Either it's my way or the highway, no? But not with mothers. Mothers will always fight for their children. Even if the children going to jail, they still, mothers standing in the door wanting to have a seat and bringing chocolates for the son in jail, you know. Only mothers. It's unique, you know. In that sense, because I can see that she was such a great soul, and also got the mercy of Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Maharaj, and many other Vaishnavas, because whenever I went home, I never came alone. I don't think I visited my home only once, even alone. I always brought with me between 6 and 8 people. So my mother was already used when I come, half of a temple moves into the house. No? Of course, the devotees are very expert, and we took over the kitchen and cooked and like this. So it was okay. She was happy about it. But she remembered each one of the devotees. And when I went 3, 4 years later, she asked, what about this one? And what about that? Well, how are they? And she was inquiring about the welfare of people she had only met for one day. So, very, very, very nice to remember such a sweet personality, so caring, even with beyond imagination, caring for the welfare of others. And of course, when somebody's so caring, then Krishna cares very much for them also. And that I could notice, that how much Krishna cared for her. Everything came out really in perfection. And I could just try to be in her eyes and in the eyes of my Guru Deva, somebody who's grateful. And for this gratefulness, I think the loss of a loved one is really a strong impulse for our own spiritual growth. I lost my beloved Guru Deva in 1977. That was very painful. And I was an orphan at that time, only 6 years in Krishna consciousness, like a little baby. And without him, we didn't really know first to which way to turn. He had trained us up quite seriously, but without him, things started to become tough really quick. Because authority means final last word. So when you love somebody, you give them the last word. Yeah, you have the last word. But when there's some other interference appearing, then all of a sudden we say, you have the last word over my life? No, sorry. And then the quarrel starts, no? Who has the last word, and who's to be trusted, and how can it be spread, and how can it go on? So this was peculiar, because my spiritual master, he left such a legacy, such an incredible amount of legacy, of literature, of philosophy, of tradition, of family connection, but unbelievable. But then the appreciation of that was not always there in all the individual. It became something like it. Then it became questionable. Like, I give you an example. Are our uncles trustworthy or not? I think that question always arises when a father or some big figure leaves this world. Are the uncles trustworthy or not? Now, in the case of the uncles, there were many uncles. And by now, I know many of them, because in my life I had the chance to associate with many of them. The uncle section, not me, my father's brothers. And I found in them a great amount of rich, wonderful personalities, very empowered, very surrendered to their respective fields, even though they didn't do externally the same what my spiritual master did, or not even near to it. They just didn't do it, but they were not chosen to do so. Let's put it that way. So, thank you. Therefore, it was amazing. When we minimize or when we relativize the authorities or the beloved ones, then a very uncomfortable situation arises. Because the guardians and the respected and accepted guardians, they are to a degree authoritative. Why not? They say this is right and this is wrong. So if you want to know what's right, then go the right way. Don't go the left way when you want to go to the right. No, it doesn't work. So in this same way, authority is a very desirable thing to find, where we can have a clear idea, a clear path to go, and where we make ourselves dependent on this without losing our own responsibility. This is like a in-between realization. So then, if that is minimized, if that is questioned, then you become very disturbed. Should I follow this authority or not? Is he or she trustworthy or not? For whom am I going to work now? And these type of things were very bothering after Prabhupada left this world. So the first big examen I had to pass in my life was a separation of my spiritual master. Now, the disappearance of a loved one, it means you have to take the responsibility that what happens afterwards is pleasing to the loved one. So this is basically the criteria. What do our beloved guardians want? What your mother wants? Like, no, I don't know one single mother who wants a child to get drunk or to become intoxicated and like go off flying into the uncertain future. No, no mother wants that. No, nor do the mothers want the children to eat poison. Unfortunately, nowadays they don't want it, but they give their children poison. Because there was an Indian television program, is called Satyade Me Jayate, a very interesting program. And in this, the director of the show, he invited many women who had children. So they were specially invited. So then he asked the women, now, please tell me, dear ladies, gentle ladies, would you feed poison to your child, which you know it's going to give him allergies and all kinds of difficulties? Would you do that? And the women, they all got angry with him. I was like, you a stupid question you're asking us. And so they went really off, you know. And then he said, then would you be allowing me to test your breast milk? So they agreed. So he had special testing operation, everything, and they tested the breast milk. And practically of all the women there, were like some 80 or 100, I don't know, they all had nitrogen levels much too high in the breast milk than acceptable for human consumption. All from pesticides in the food. Every single one of that, they were. So he said, what is going on? We're living in a society where we're training ourselves up to poison our own children. So in that sense, it was a very interesting program. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube. It's still there. The show is a fantastic show. I mean, he really convinced everybody the time had come. So if we are really careful with the people we love, then we have to do something about what we give them to eat, the people we love. What is it what we are eating, where we are getting it, how much support we are giving, how much energy do we put in technical toys, and how much energy we put into good food for healthy living. Are we here to live to eat, or are we here to eat to live? What is the purpose of all this? So my spiritual master, he was so kind, and he made us aware that we have to make sure we become self-sufficient. We have a reliable behavior with a mother nature. We start our children, our family around Dharma. around spiritual principle. We do things happily and healthy, even if it means poor. That is the thing, no? Like, sorry to say, no? No, Bill Gates, for example, he invests in all his foundation. So much money he invests in vaccinations. Vaccinations which kill children left and right, which is a huge scandal. I don't know how in the world they can justify what they're doing, and that's what they're investing in. And in the seeds of Monsanto. One of the principal shareholders of Monsanto is Bill Gates, trying to get hold of all the seeds in the world. Well, he's accustomed that anybody turns on a computer in the world must pay something to them. So they want everybody who eats, puts a sandwich in the mouth, also pay some money to them. They want to control the whole world, and this way they're doing these very nasty plans so that the individual is really disrespected. So if we cannot respect our guardians and we cannot respect the people we are gardening, then where's the society? Where's the culture gone? We're finished. We're finished, and that is exactly what Srila Prabhupada came to save us from. He said, be self-sufficient, be happy, and do something. Now, be intelligent also. Prabhupada was not against making business for a good cause. Business is also part of the Vedic culture, Vaishyas. It says Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. There's in Artha, there's economic development. And economic development, for God's sake, what is it? It's God's grace. If there is something we can do and it's appreciated, and then we get some recompensation and we can buy a nice house or we get a farm. You know, the world is full of opulences. So somehow or other you do and you get, and what has to be done. But the most important thing is that you keep your respect and your love for the people, your beloved people. This conception of the loved ones is so important. Can you imagine how our mother feels when she has to put her own child into the grave? Which I came from Italy, and there was one mother, she was with me, she was the mother of Rita Chaitanya, who died at the age of 43. And his mother had to be there while we made the last rites for this wonderful devotee. Of course, this is like, what to say, you know, loved ones. Who are the loved ones? In the philosophy of spiritual life, everybody can become qualified to be a loved one. Now, what to speak of the ones who actually shared many years with us and did many important things together with us? Well, that is more than loved. You actually share things in life with another person, then you know that this connection is there to pull us onwards. Because we are together with some people in this life, but in the next life we also be together with people. And maybe the people from this lifetime, they'll be with us in the next lifetime. Or maybe in the spiritual world, we're going to meet the people who we met here and we got a connection with. So if you want to meet Srila Prabhupada again, then you have to become a pure devotee. And that's a really, really, really high demand. You cannot fake it. You cannot joke around with this. If you want to become a pure devotee and meet Srila Prabhupada, good idea. It's not going to be just like this. You have to really, and I'm saying that I'm far below my own standards. I wish I would be much higher in my standards, and I have a lot of things I must accomplish before I leave this body, so that I can actually qualify for meeting Srila Prabhupada. And if I don't do it this lifetime, I want to come back, have a more lifetime trial, so that I can qualify for it. Because not being with Srila Prabhupada, not being with such a beloved person, that is for me something inconceivably painful. My mother was a devotee, at heart and in the end also in every sense. But she was also very, how you would say, she always had it her way. In life, she was very strong character. She always wanted to have it her way. And mostly she got it also her way. Not always, no. But I can see that that on a higher advanced stage, we should only care for Krishna's way. And that only doing it Krishna's way, that we learn from Srila Prabhupada. And only doing it the way Krishna wants it, that is really the healthy assurance. Otherwise you come into sentimentalism and you may end up doing things which you really shouldn't have done. All the way out there in the world of sentimentalism. So it is for me a great relief that you allow me to speak about the beloved one whose company I lost today. And talking about her is also very intensive to be connected with her. And in this way, in Harikatha, in the process of Bhakti Yoga, we always speak about the beloved ones. We can speak about the beloved Lord, or we can speak about the beloved devotees of the Lord. All of them are equally qualified to elevate your spirit. So when I speak about somebody that's elevated and that wonderful, then this will help me to become more beautiful in my own behavior, in my own appreciations. Therefore, our spiritual master, he has given us this indication that we should always be proactive to glorify the Vaishnavas. That's called Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasinvaeva cha Patitanam Bhavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. That to talk about and to be grateful, this is something, okay, the beloved person is gone. Give the chair, Prabhu. Prabhu, give the chair to the gentleman. So it is so simple. By sound, we can get released from the ignorance and from the indifference. So we can be with the beloved persons when we appreciate them. And even like when it comes to the point of who has the last word in something, that should be somebody who is the most beloved and we're able to conquer the hearts of everybody. And in effect, this is somebody like Sri Krishna, somebody like Srila Prabhupada. He conquered the hearts of everybody and he gave us the proper guidance to do the proper right thing. And we can talk about him. It is purifying for ourselves, and we can also participate in his different projects, like practically speaking, this creating self-sufficiency community, like where people can live together and actually do something very nicely together. Then it will be very, very, very thankful. You see, maybe we are a little bit knuckle-headed. Older people, we can think, no, I'll just do it my way. But what about your children and grandchildren? Where are they going to go? Are they going to all, each one go in their own planet? Or are there something where we actually have to learn, to cooperate, to appreciate? And I'm learning this. I'm also learning that. I mean, I always learned to appreciate the Vaishnavas from my Guru Devas, but I also now learn to appreciate all those people who are so wonderfully caring for the others. Whoever that is, whoever the shoe fits, they say. And there are people that are really caring for each other, for the welfare of each other. And there's others that really don't care. So we need to understand this, that our world is the testing ground for appreciation and for distancing yourself from that which is unwholesome for everybody. When you talk about those who have stood out in your heart, in your environment, in whatever you do, when you talk about them, this is such a pleasant experience. It is like giving a gift is much more pleasant than receiving a gift. So if you're able to give somebody and praise somebody and show their example, then you feel so relieved, so wonderful. Of course, we as devotees, we don't want other people to talk good about us. We don't want to be flattered. This is not in our interest. But even though we are not flatterers, still we have to show the respect. And better and much more than speaking well about another person means to obey their good advice. That's where the real appreciation stands, where we follow the good advice of those who are our guardians, our well-wishers. That's much better than just say, oh, you're so great, and then you don't do anything about what they say. So, I simply offer my humble obeisance to all the previous saintly personalities who have shown the example in this world, what's right, how to dedicate yourself. And I'm so proud to say that even one of them is my own mother, because she also, despite her mistakes she made in her life, she always chose that the path to God is the more important, and that we should do things in accordance with this understanding. So, in this way, I also feel very fortunate, and of course, especially remorse that I couldn't be with her at the moment of her parting from this world, something which is a very beautiful thing to do. We should really try to be there with the beloved ones when they are in the transition from this body to the next level. But I couldn't. I was with her a few days ago, though, and so, like a month ago, and so we did have some very, very deep and important exchanges. But the initiation came afterwards. It was my last happy surprise I got from her in this lifetime. And like Srila Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, the wise do not lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So in a sense, we know somebody goes away from here not to be lamented. He didn't disappear. Just like Facundo Cabral used to say, those who died before us, they just went through that door. We all have to go through there, and they're waiting on the other side for you. So don't make so much of it, you know. We all have to go through that door, and then we will be duly recompensated for what we did. So therefore, this inspiration of the beloved ones is that we should, I mean, you should be a good example because your beloved guardians want that, and you should be a good example because those who are you the guardian of, they really want that. They want to have a good example so that they can go the proper trail, the proper path in their lifetime. So in this way, from both sides, people expect us to be performing. From both sides, and the friends as well. A friend in need is a friend indeed. A friend without need is a friend indeed. You need a friend who wants to be a friend for the sake of being a friend and not for getting something from you. In this way, we really want this intensified gratefulness to manifest in our heart. And from this intensified gratefulness, we can understand, we can do our, get the energy for having enough compassion to helping others to come to a higher level. Because if there's anybody around you who is on a lower level, well, love them and help them to get higher. And hope that somebody higher than you feels the same about you and gives you the hand to come higher. Because it's everybody, it's always a give and take. And you have to give in one place and you may take in another. Don't think in every place you have to give and take equally. No, it doesn't work like this. You take the mercy as it comes and you give the mercy to who needs it. Any questions about this?
Yes, I have a question. I was thinking about what you said about that we should, about the thing about giving advices if we see someone who is making maybe wrong decisions or decisions that are not healthy for one's spiritual development. But when do I have the position to say anything? Because I know that I also have a lot of things that are really not healthy for my spiritual development. So if I point the finger, 3 fingers point at me.
Basically, befriending people is our good right. And if those befriended people are eager to hear something of our own realization and reflections, we have the right and the chance to share with them whatever we feel. We don't want to invade people's privacy to instruct them against their own will. That is not, I don't think you could derive or extract that idea from what I said. So then what? Well, just be so wonderful that people want to have your help, and then you can help. And that's basically how it works. Like when people go to the self-help or to the help centers of different, then some people are outstanding because they're really caring and they're really showing it, and people care for it to hear what they have to say. You agree? There's always a little audacity in giving advice to others.
Yes.
But if you are following your heart sincerely, you should be all right. And last responsibility, everybody has individually what he does or not. In the end of the day, you can't say, I did it all bad because he told me.
Yes, but it's for me. I'm interested in the field of responsibility. Like when is my responsibility to step in, and when is it too much invading someone else's private.
But you know that is the time, place, and circumstance. You cannot give a general description of that. Every day, all the time, all of a sudden I'm walking there and I see a kid. I don't even know the kid. All of a sudden it's running towards the street. Cars are running there and I don't care whose kid is. I say, hey, stop! And shock the kid. He goes and I go and catch him. Now I look who is in charge of that kid. No? So, like a spontaneous action of protection, no? And somebody may say, why you scream at that kid? You know, you're not the official guardian. Yeah, but I say, I don't care. That's what I had to do in this moment. So time, place, and circumstances. This is the teachings of the Lord are testing us. And our maturity is tested all the time. And in that maturity, we are growing. If we commit some mistakes, we should also grow by them. More questions? Yes, please.
You said that if you remember Krishna at the time of death, if you remember Krishna at the time of death, then you get to go back to him. So probably this is possible if you are sitting like this and chanting. But let's say you just meet with a road accident, it just happens in a fraction of a second. Then it's like you need to be chanting almost every second of your life. Is my understanding right then? Because death can happen any time. And when you say remember Krishna, is it chanting or the form of Krishna? What is it that you have to have in your mind?
Thank you so much. Well, I'll tell you a story. In our temple in Bogota, we were washing the curtains. So from the street you could see the altar. One lady walked by, she saw the altar and walked right into the temple. She said, I'm living up here. I never saw what you have here because of the curtain. Now I see you have this beautiful altar and you have all flowers. You know, I'm a flower salesman. So I want to give you everyday flowers for this altar. This will be my donation. So the devotees are very happy. You get flowers every day for Krishna. You don't have to go and buy and things like that. So one pujari, he would go by her flower shop. Every day she would give them flowers. Then one day she stopped. She came and always brought the flowers. But one day she stopped coming giving the flowers. So the pujari said, "Oh, what happened to her?" So he found out her shop. He went to the shop, and there was a young man in the shop, and he asked, "Where's the lady who was working?" Oh, he said, "She just left the body a few days ago." "How did she leave the body? What happened?" He said, "Yeah, she was just in the evening, she was running out of the place here, and somehow or other somebody pushed her and she was run over by a car. And then I ran out of the shop and I saw her and she said, I have to go to the temple, I have to give the flowers to the temple, I have to give the flowers to the temple," and she left her body. So that was a result of devotional service, spontaneous devotional service of a few months. That she could leave the world thinking of Krishna in such an unfortunate situation as a traffic accident. So I had to think so much about it that that's like the elevator promotion, Here you go, boom, and haven't done her. She was probably not a vegetarian, no, she was not, but that thing that she decided, I give this flower to Krishna every day. So my answer to your question is that we should not be so keen to control everything. To always think of Krishna is clear. Man mana bhavama bhakto manjati man namaskuru. He says, always think of me. Yenatena prakarina mana Krishna niveshayat. The foremost of all instructions is always think of Krishna. Do things in Krishna consciousness, yes, but not forced, not mechanical. It has to be part of what you really like to do, of what you want to offer to the Lord, where you think, yeah, that is my life for the Lord. And in this way, we can't just connect it with you have to, blah, blah, point. No, there aren't no you have to. There's just loving recommendations, and these loving recommendations is to lovingly execute this or that, but any type of activity to please the Lord. And what it is His way, we don't know. Many devotees have done service for Krishna in their dreams, and the Lord has accepted that service. There's